How you feeling?
I'm good in yourself.
All is well, all is well. First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming on the platform. This is definitely an honor. I truly appreciate the things that you're doing, on the continent.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no doubt. For the viewers who may not recognize you, let them know who you are and definitely where you from.
Okay, absolutely. So my name is Kea Wakesho Simmons. I do carry my given name that has been given to me about 13 years ago when I started going to Kenya. I am the owner and founder of Traverse Culture, which is a travel concierge company that specializes in humanitarian work, relocation integration services, as well as business development, agriculture, and now we are the first African American company to develop an estate, a luxury estate in Kenya. Yes. And I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. Shout out to Chucktown.
Wow, that's amazing. That's phenomenal. I guess I could ask you. Now, you said your family is from America, and you went to Kenya to take on these endeavors. How did you even get started with this?
So I'm ex-military, but once I got out of the military, I did civilian government contracting in Afghanistan. And so while working in Afghanistan, I met my first Kenyan, who is now my brother, James Milawasi. Shout out to him and his family. Um, and when I met him, I'm like, I realized that I've never met a Kenyan a day of my life. And at that point, I had never been to Africa. But, growing up, we always think about, I think one day I want to go to Africa, but it's never a reality, right? And so once I met him, and he just kind of was telling me about his culture and things of that nature, and we clicked. I was like, oh, I'm going to Kenya. He didn't believe me. And so 2 weeks later, I came up to him at work in the break room, and I'm like, I bought my ticket. So when you gonna get yours? And so once we did that, I found myself going to Kenya. I went to Ethiopia first, which was amazing, and then landed in Mombasa. And I fell in love with the country ever since then. And that was back in 2011.
Wow, that is so dope. I've been to Kenya as well. Kenya is amazing. I stayed in Mombasa for like 3 months, and then I was in Nairobi a few times. Kenya is really, really amazing. Now I can ask you. Now I was looking on your profile. How many countries have you been to?
45, and I've lived in seven of them.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, what has that done for you? I mean, outside of the obvious, you have a company now, a global company, but just as a person, as a Black American, as a woman, going back, especially to Africa in particular.
Absolutely. That did a lot for me. Um, from starting off a little girl who dropped out of the 10th grade from Charleston, South Carolina, it expounds your reach from what you may not have thought you were able to do, right? And while traveling the world, you learn yourself. It's been my university. I don't have any college degrees or anything like that, but the travel has been my schooling. And through my travel, I was able to figure out or grow into who I am as a person, as a woman, and then a Black woman. Forget about it. This really opens your eyes about the contribution of African people globally. It opens your eyes to realize that we've circumnavigated this globe thousands of times prior to the slave trade. We've contributed to all mankind and civilization. And so through travel, I've been able to not only read it, watch documentaries, but travel to those locations and see it for myself as a Black woman.
Wow, that's definitely inspiring. I mean, so for the viewers, you basically saying one trip to Africa changed your life. That you on your purpose, you on your mission. You know what I'm saying? That's just amazing. Let me see.
Absolutely.
Now, okay, now I wanted to ask you this. A lot of times when people talk about the diaspora or they talk about Black Americans and the connection to Africa, we usually kind of focus on West Africa. For some reason, we only learn about Ghana, Senegal, maybe even the Congo, Angola, but we never talk about East Africa. And to my understanding, there were more Africans taken from that side of Africa than the west side. So if you could kind of talk about, if you're knowledgeable about that, if you could speak on the connection that we do have some connections on that east side of Africa as well.
Absolutely. One of the things that I really focus on for our initiative, the Journey Back to Eden, which is me just taking the baton from the year return and doing it in Kenya, is the narrative changes. And I am a historian. I love history. Um, it changes from it just being about the slave trade. If we look at that area of Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Burundi, that East African region of the Rift Valley region, that is the beginning of all human life, period. So we all started there, regardless if we ended up in the west, the south, the north, whichever parts, as maybe a Bantu, or being a part of the Bantu community, the Niloid community, or the Kushite or the Semite. They were first communities before we became tribes. There were areas in which tribes would live, and we didn't have those boundaries of a Nigeria or a Ghana or Kenya. Those things didn't exist before the scramble of Africa, right? So when we talk about us just being from West Africa, we have to acknowledge that we all originated from East Africa. So the connective tissue is that all mankind began there. And even if we want to go with slavery, there was the Arab slave trade, where they would take Africans from East Africa, going into Tanzania, going into Saudi, and then some of those people would go from East Africa to West Africa, end up on the shores of the East Coast of the United States. My family in particular, we did our DNA. We didn't use African ancestry, no shade to it, but we wanted to be able to use a company that I believe that is non-biased in terms of getting that type of information to African Americans specifically. And we came back 27.7% Kenyan and of the Lua tribe. Now we're actually more Nigerian, 33%. However, shows a chronological order where we began, and we started off in Kenya, and we may have had some type of trading in Nigeria, or we intermarried or something, and then we ended up on the coast of Charleston, South Carolina, which we all know is one of the largest slave ports in North America. And so you see the connective tissue, like collard greens. Let's talk about collard greens. In Kenya, the main dish in Kenya is called skuma wiki. Skuma wiki is collard greens. It's just cooked healthier than what we do. You know, we cook the collard greens down till they ain't got no nutrients, and then we have the meat and things like that. But essentially, collard greens is indigenous to East Africa. Somebody had to take the seeds to North Africa, to North America, because it's not indigenous to North America. Same thing with the Gullah Geechee culture. I am of the Gullah Geechee culture, Charleston, South Carolina. Some of our dialect, they say, derived from Swahili. And as we know, Kiswahili is an East African language. It's an African language, a Semitic language, but it's an East African language. And then my city is known for basket weaving. The particular basket weaving that we do in Charleston, South Carolina, they actually do from one of the tribes in Kenya. And Kenya is known for basket weaving, as well as 13 other countries over the continent. But you do see some of those connective tissue between East Africa and African Americans.
Okay, wow. I appreciate you sharing that, because this is very important. Because by you traveling across the continent, especially at a time like now on social media, a lot of our people, they may say, well, we're not even from Africa, or we came from Africa so long ago. Are we still even culturally African? And you breaking it down from, saying some of the language or some of the foods or some of the traditions. And not to mention the fact that we look alike, we see
That
people
part.
that look just like our family. So I can ask you, in terms of Kenya in particular, what does Kenya have to offer a Black American in conjunction with your company and what you have to offer?
Oh, absolutely. Kenya is, I know they're saying that Africa is the new frontier. No, Africa now. It's not the new frontier, it's now. And when we look at East Africa, let's talk about East Africa. East Africa versus your West Africa connection. And again, this is not to create division. It's just comparison on what you can get. Now, East Africa has the East African Union community, excuse me, the EAC, which comprised of 7 different countries. You have Kenya, Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, Tanzania, and South Sudan, and now the DRC. With all 7 countries being a part of the East African community, the East African community now is the 4th richest country in the world. They are competing against BRICS, Kenya being the big boy of East Africa. So if we think about Kenya in conjunction to larger countries or cities, let's just say Kenya is the New York of East Africa, right? It's also, Kenya also has the 4th largest GDP on the continent. You have South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, and then Kenya. Kenya has positioned itself as a global player, especially now with President Ruto. Despite some of his choices, he has positioned the country globally, where it's competing as a developing country. Now, in terms of African Americans, because we're still the minority, I mean, very small minority in East Africa, there is, I mean, tons of opportunity to get over to East Africa before the rush happens, right? In terms of Traverse culture, this is what we're offering to African Americans and Africans of the diaspora from the UK and Canada. But because I'm African American, I can speak to it more. But in terms of business opportunities, in terms of real estate opportunities, in terms of relocating to the country and just starting a new life if you wanted to, as an option, right? It's not the end all be all. I'm telling you, it's a mass amount of opportunities. It's very modern. So if you're looking for a country where, okay, I want to be in Africa, but I don't want to lose the quality of life that I'm accustomed to in the United States, Kenya is going to be that place for you, especially Nairobi. You could go to any restaurant in Nairobi and it's upscale. All of the lounges, the clubs, the scenery is going to remind you of being home. And I'm going to be 100. That's why I really do love Kenya, is because you get the best of both worlds while still having that African feel, but still not losing what I'm accustomed to and what I contribute to building here in America.
Okay, okay, wow, yeah, yeah, that's something to know. Kenya is definitely technologically advanced. Definitely some good food, a variety, especially like in Nairobi. They got the malls and stuff like that.
Yep.
I wanted to ask you, like recently there was, I guess, a discussion about the change in the visas in Kenya, because I guess at one
Yeah.
time when I was going, you could get the visa on arrival, then it kind of went to
Yep.
you got to get it on the online. Do we still need visas to go? And if you could kind of talk about that, where does that stand?
So technically you don't need a visa, but you need an ETA pass. Essentially, I'm gonna keep it a buck. It's a visa. You have to have that before you fly. And but now the system is really really easy to use. I will give them that. My hats go off to Kenya for going to the ETA system, because it literally takes you 10 minutes to fill it out, and it's $34. Once you get that, you're in the system to enter into Kenya. So you still have to fill out an ETA, which they say is not a visa, but it's a visa. But the process is way easier. It's all digital and it only take about 10 minutes.
Okay, okay. Now you organize group tours to Kenya. If you could talk about what's included in the tours and how can people, be a part of it.
Absolutely. So yeah, we do group tours in Kenya. Now we're not just located in Kenya. We also do Central America, Belize, and Panama. But we're just focusing on Kenya right now for the Journey Back to Eden initiative. But for our Kenya tours, we have a 7-day tour and a 12-day tour, which you can go to the website right now, tverse.com, and look at those tours starting in June up until December, leading up to our main event in December. So it's a 12-day tour and 7-day tour. We have single occupancies and double occupancy. What's included is your international flight, your domestic flight, because the 7-day is a 2-city tour, the 12-day is a 5-city tour. All of your accommodation, 3 meals a day, your entry fees, as well as your signature naming ceremony, your signature marketplace that we do all in-house, real estate tour, and a business conference on the 12-day tour. It's including in that package.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's what's up. You including a lot of stuff, because a lot of packages, they be kind of short. So that sounds amazing. Now I can ask you a little bit about the services. Like if people want to relocate, if they want to start a business, if they want to buy land, they want to invest, you offer like consultations or packages or anything to kind of guide them through that, or what?
Yes, so we offer our relocation integration program, which is a 120-day program where we relocate you from wherever you are in the States to Kenya, door to door service. What does that mean? We pick you up from your house in the States. We drop you off at the airport there. We pick you up at the airport in Nairobi, and we take you to your transitional housing. Now, the integration program consists of education assistance, permanent housing assistance. We integrate you into the society. So we do social awareness. We teach you about the justice system there, healthcare system, where we provide you a primary care doctor, hospital, a dentist. We teach you about the currency, the importance of knowing that compared to the dollar. We teach about the business culture, the food. A lot is in the integration program. We do your visas for you for the first 120 days. If you want to renegotiate to extend your contract with us, you have the option to do that. But all of our services hands in. So we do all of those on behalf of you while educating you through our integration program.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's phenomenal. Because it seemed like, as a Black American trying to relocate to Africa, it seemed like it's a long, lonely journey. You have so much to learn, but by you having something set up already and you being connected with the right people, it seemed like it would be less expensive, but you can learn a lot and get everything done precisely. Now, I was looking at your page on Instagram and on YouTube. You have had like different meetings and seminars with different people. I seen you was on like BBC and different news stations and stuff like that. So what I'm trying to ask you is, have you felt welcomed by the Kenyan community? Because a lot of times Black Americans, the first thing they'll say is Africans don't like us. They don't want us there. So do you feel like you're being welcomed?
Absolutely. I love Kenya. Like I said, the past 13 years I've been going there. It's been a great lesson. It's been a great ride. Now, I'm not gonna say it's been peachy green the whole time, but in terms of people not liking me or anything like that, I've never felt that way. Even when I'm going into these board meetings and I'm meeting with senior government officials and things of that nature, I got tattoos. I got tattoos all up and down my arm, all this, and no one treats me differently. I go in there with my nose rings. I go in as I am, and no one treats me differently. Now, do they move slow? Yes. Um, that's just a cultural difference, right? But in terms of being liked and them welcoming, Kenyans are probably one of the most welcoming people on the continent. I must give it to them. Now they got their shiggity with them, but in terms of being welcome, they definitely are one of the best people that I've ever met. Excuse me.
Okay, okay, that's definitely good to hear. And I know from experience, man, I always have a good time when I'm in Kenya. I mean, Africa in general, I never feel unwelcome. So that's a
Right.
definitely something, a lot of people need to go see for themselves, and they need to reach out to you if they have other questions. We're about 20 minutes in, so um, let me see. Okay, I can ask you maybe one more question I can ask you about in terms of like buying property or purchasing land. You kind of hear different things. Every country is kind of different.
Yep.
Is the process similar to America where you could just buy something and you own it forever, or do they have a different system where you own it for 50 years or 99 years or as long as you live?
Yep.
For American, do we have to actually live there? Do we have to be a citizen? Do we have to have
Mhm.
residency, or can we
Mhm.
kind of migrate back and forth and still do business and invest?
Mhm. That's a great question. So, let me just use our estate that we're developing in Kenya. And so the process is a little different from the US, but the way that we've set up our program for you to purchase one of our homes and the land, we made it comprehensive, and we tried to cater to the North America sector and the Kenyan sector, since both communities will live in this particular development, the Gitu estate. Um, but one of the things that we offer is hands in the entire process. We teach you how this is going to go. Right now, our program, right now, you would put down 5,000 for your reservation for the plot. And then after the first 14 days, you decide whether you want to go into a sales agreement for the product. So the product that we're offering right now is the quarter acre of land, with your home, your borehole, which is your water, fiber internet, and the landscape. And you can find us on my website under Gitu Estate, and it'll redirect you to the Gitu Realtors, which we own that as well. And so, with that, through the process, you'll be buying the land and the house from Gitu Realtors, which I own, Traverse Culture own, and it will be leasehold. Now, don't be scared because I said leasehold, because most of the land in Kenya or Nairobi now are leasehold. So even if you were Kenyan, you would probably buy a leasehold. The only difference is that the government can tax that land. That's it, right? So when you buy it from us, it's leasehold for 99 years, but that is only for you to not even a contract, for you to just redo your taxes for another 99 years. That's it. You own the property as long as you have asset protection around it, and we educate you on owning foreign property, owning a foreign entity, because we also assist with opening up businesses. We advise you on accounting services and legal services and things of that nature, educate you through the process. So that's some of the things that you could see in terms of the real estate industry, excuse me, in Kenya.
Okay, okay. I appreciate you sharing that because, like I say, so many people they were like, "Oh, I want citizenship. I want to buy land," but they don't even know where to start, and they don't want to feel like they're just handing their money over. While you giving them that cultural experience, you also educating them on the business and to learn how to, do international business on any level is priceless. And I thank you for that because we really need more of us from America to kind of bridge that gap to help the people that's going over there so they can have a great experience and hopefully bring more brothers and sisters.
Absolutely. We pride ourselves on educating, immersing people, and giving them the real deal. I don't like to sell a romance because we do have a disconnect. There's a 700-year disconnect, right? And so, one of the things that I've always said, for the record, I do not support repatriation. I support integration, because you're repatriating to Kenya. You're not Kenyan. And so, by pushing that agenda of repatriation, you skip all the necessary steps for people to properly integrate into a society. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's very necessary, most definitely. Okay, so if the viewers, if they want to follow what you're doing, they want to be a part of it, they need more information, they want to check out your tours, they're interested in doing business and investing, what's the best way for them to do that?
Absolutely. You can find us on at our website, tverse.com, right? That's with a Z. You can also find us on YouTube at Traverse Culture, Instagram, Traverse Culture. I believe they all have the same social media handles. On TikTok. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and whatever that other one, I can't even remember right now, but those are all of our social media handles. You can also call us. You can find our number on the website. If you're interested in the Gitu estate and possibly purchasing a home and land with us, you can go to tverse.com, click the tab that says Gitu estate. You'll see Gitu Realtors. It'll redirect you to our real estate company in Kenya, and you'll get the details. And then if you're interested in contacting us via the real estate company, just submit a contact request, and one of our agents will reach out to you.
Okay, okay. I want to thank you again, Queen, for coming on the platform. It's definitely been an honor. This was a phenomenal episode. I'm still processing a lot of the information that you was sharing with us. I'm definitely interested. Like I say, Kenya is definitely a phenomenal place. It's one of the best choices you can make on the continent. And I want to thank the viewers for tuning in. It's been a great episode. Peace.
Thank you. Peace.